10 months ago, I challenged other plant YouTubers to grow the best plant possible on a $20 budget. The last time I did this, our secret guest judge, Harley G, gave my Monstera 3rd place. So this time, I'm looking for redemption. A 1st place win with this Philodendron glorious. If you want to grow a new plant as fast as possible, other than checking for pests, your main thing is to acclimate it to the highest light spot in your home as fast as you possibly can. You should be using a light meter to help determine the light levels in your home, and philodendrons can start to be pushed towards 2,500 foot candles of light. I can get this and much more by my large south-facing windows. So my plan is to move this plant up to my coffee table where it will get around 400 to 800 foot candles of light, and then slowly move it closer to the window, capping out at around 3,000 foot candles. After a few weeks, when my plant is ready to be repot, I'll just stick in a climbing support, sprinkle in a little bit of fertilizer, and this competition is basically over. But first, I need some new challengers. Hey, Harley, it's Lee. Do you want to join the plant challenge?
Lee's here!
Mommy.
Wait for me, I'll be right back!
Hello? Are you home? Hey Dana, I'm looking for some new challengers for my upcoming plant competition. Do you want to join us?
Oh man, Lee, I am so sorry. I'm actually going to be going to Costa Rica for the next few weeks, but you know what? I think my friend Plants by Melissa would love to join you.
Sounds great. Send her that invite and I guess enjoy your vacation.
Will do. Good luck.
Actually, let me check out her Instagram first. Oh no.
Right there is a freaking
Oh, no.
bloom. My Monstera adensera.
Alright, scrap that. New plan. I think I need a moss pole. No, I know. I'm not a huge fan of moss poles, but I have always said that they do grow bigger plants faster. I just don't think they're worth it with all of that extra management and care that come with it. While I have made my own homemade moss poles in the past using power tools and PVC pipes, even though they do hold more moisture and are easier to manage, in my home climate with low humidity, any moss pole basically needs to be watered every other day or else it just dries out completely. In this 10-month competition, especially in the summertime, I'm not trying to leave any party early and tell my friends, sorry, I have to go home and water my moss pole. That's weird. I have to find out a way where I can still compete with Melissa, someone who is a full-time plant content creator and seller, by the way, without being tethered to my plants for the next 10 months. And I think I know a way. In my sketchbook, I made this really messy mock-up design where I'll need a jar with a custom-made lid to both hold the moss pole in place and allow the pump to transport water from the jar into the top of the moss pole and then back into the reservoir. The only weird issue I might have is right here where the actual plant in soil is going to be sitting outside of the jar, and I'll need to guide it towards the pole until it can actually attach. I headed out to Value Village to get this jar about the size that I needed, and I bought some aquarium sponge filters to help me arrange and get everything into place. I also enlisted the help of both of the Bryans that I know to help me 3D model, make small adjustments, and print my lid to the perfect size. I'm so grateful that every single person named Brian is highly technical and also owns a 3D printer, so thank you Brian, and thank you Brian. Also, super important to fill the bottom portion of the moss pole with sponge filter so that the moss medium won't just fall out and then go into the reservoir and then start to clog up the pump. I moved my jar to my bedroom in front of my Soltech grow lights and a south-facing window, and finally set up my secret weapon. The only thing that was really going to help me manage this moss pole while still having a life away from my plants was going to be this automatic pump that I nearly recycled because I don't ever use it. The intake is going into the reservoir, and for now, I'm playing around with how much water it sucks up. I think starting at 40 milliliters should be good, but obviously this might need to increase as my plant gets larger. So my plant has grown about 2 leaves since I got it, and okay, here, let me just help you out really quick, and okay, well, I promise I won't help my plant anymore. Anyway, the plant is ready to be attached, and I'm continuing to have the entire soil pot in front of the reservoir so I'm not disturbing the root mass. I'm also fertilizing the plant with some slow release fertilizer so I can be even more hands off with this plant. See, it's already ready to pump out a huge leaf. I just have to water the soil around every 5 days, and I know that's the frequency because I use this wooden dowel to test the soil by sticking it in all the way to the bottom. When I pull it out, a dry stick means that the soil is dry. I'm leaving my plant at around 2,000 to 3,000 foot candles of light for 15 hours a day, which is closer towards the high end for most climbing philodendrons. Remember, you can always push them higher because they can take more light as they mature. My automatic pump runs once every 24 hours, pumping 40 milliliters of water into the moss, and now I just have to not mess with my plant that much. So I said I just have to not mess with the plant, even if a leaf seems stuck, like I have to try not to loosen it with a paper towel, or like try not to spray it with water and try and loosen it. Okay, so the leaf actually seems fine and it came out normal. So I guess it's okay to mess with it a little bit, but I promise I will leave the next leaf alone. Promise. See, look how it turned out. Pretty big size increase. I just needed to leave it alone. This competition is... Why? Why is this happening to me? Why me? Why? Oh, new leaf coming in. Careful. Careful. This has been the worst mistake of my life. I really didn't think a lot about actually having to move this once it was all set up, but now I have to sort this out. It's reached the top of the moss pole. This node is exposed. If it's exposed any longer, I could start getting smaller growth from the plant, but at this point, about halfway into the competition, I think that if I chop it, start over with this largest top cutting, I might be able to get all of this growth back, possibly on a second moss pole, which I'm praying will actually win me this competition this year. I didn't think this, honestly, how am I gonna do this? I didn't think this through at all. Will this come up? This stays on? No, I guess this is coming with me. Oh God. My next step is gonna be to remove the plant from the moss pole. Thankfully, I stand fully behind my modular homemade moss pole that I made. It should be extremely easy to actually get this plant out of the pole. I got this out, and hopefully you can see roots on this thing. Absolutely wild. I honestly spent like 20 minutes here deliberating with myself on which node to cut. I needed to make sure that I had enough roots in the soil and the plant was tall enough to be able to have another node actually touching the moss. I didn't know this at the time, but this was going to be the most important decision in my entire time growing this plant. So this is exposed, this is exposed. Okay, here we go. I'm ready to make my cut. Okay. Here's my glorious cutting. It's already getting to be bigger than my face, so I think I'm in a good position. If this one starts to rot pretty quickly, and then this next one follows suit, I'll know that there's probably something off and I'll need to operate. I was pretty confident in putting everything back together. I use a great high quality soil mix, perlite, and orchid bark. Once the sponge filters and moss pole were set up again, I put back my 40% sphagnum moss and 60% tree fern fiber mix in the pole and attached the plant with double-sided Velcro. I also remembered to refertilize my soil lightly with slow-release fertilizer, as well as reattach the tubing to water the moss. Whoever the guest judge is absolutely going to hand me an easy win. Just don't trip. Oh my God. Don't trip, don't trip, don't trip, don't trip. Okay, so what I had learned was your plant also needs root mass to support the foliage. Once your leaves get to a certain size, your plant absolutely needs enough roots to take in water and nutrients to deliver to all of those leaves. If it doesn't have enough root mass, it starts to drop leaves because the plant just can't support it. So what I have to do from here is get my plant to start producing roots as fast as possible so it doesn't lose any more foliage. I'm going to take it out of the soil and focus on putting the exposed roots in a medium that will provide more oxygen for faster growth. I'm switching to a plastic cup and using a combination of tree fern fiber and aquarium soil. This combination will produce roots much faster and will help stabilize the plant. Thankfully, this stabilized the plant pretty quickly, and it continued to produce great, new, very large foliage. It's recently come to my attention that this looks like crap. So yes, I know this looks terrible, but it might be a relatively easy problem for me to solve. Biggest problem, obviously, how disgusting the moss pole is. Now, that might be pretty easy to cover up if I can get the leaves to center completely down the middle. I have a quick solution for that, and hiding all of this nonsense will be really essential, so I'll just need a really good pot. But because there's so much stuff that I need to hide, I need to make sure that it's pretty wide. So it's got to be at least 9 by 7, and most pots curve in at the bottom, so I can't just get a 10-inch pot and then expect everything to fit. I might have to buy an extra large container or come up with some pretty creative solution to solve this issue. So to get my leaves to face forward, I just need to make sure that it is facing the light. So putting it in the corner, it's angled all the way towards my window, but my window is so far away, I don't think this thing is getting actually that much light at all. Right now I have my camera light set up, but so with my camera lights off, this thing is only getting like, I think highest 15 FC or something like that. So it's gonna be a problem. But thankfully I buy and test out every single grow light on my own before I recommend it. And this standing grow light is something that doesn't get a lot of use in my condo because it just takes up a lot of floor space, but this is actually perfect for this situation. The only issue is I just won't eat breakfast at my table. I'll just eat on the floor. This competition is so close to being done in a couple days, so hopefully this light does its job, and now I just have to go find a decorative pot. I did look at a bunch of places for nice decorative pots, and while I did find some large ones that were 9 inches across, I really couldn't find any that were 9 inches wide at the bottom without spending like $90 or something. So this pot will have to do, but my problem now is I can't fit everything in here without just crunching up all this stuff. So what I'm about to do, it kind of feels illegal. I don't think this is considered cheating. No one's gonna know. How would they know?
How many plants are you killing, Lee?
So many. So many.
Maybe ban moss poles for the next one.
I must have neglected it for some time period because the leaves just like completely flopped over.
I think yours beats mine.
I don't think it's the most practical way to grow a plant or to display a plant, and I don't know if I can keep it up like long term.
I feel like I could have gotten a couple bigger leaves, but yeah, I'm really happy with the progress mine made.
With all the challengers finally assembled, after 10 grueling months, it's finally time to reveal our secret guest judge.
Hello everyone, my name's Claire from the YouTube channel The Jungle Haven, and if you don't know me, I make planty videos on tips and tricks, things I've learnt over the years, and just generally try and make learning about plants fun. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is the Philodendron Glorious. My god, it has sized up a crazy amount. The scale of this plant is absolutely insane now. The only thing I'm noticing is that in the most recent picture of it, it has got some kind of yellowy brown patches, very subtle, but just on some of its leaves here and there. And this can be down to a few things, but most commonly in my experience, it can be down to a watering imbalance. So if that was my plant, I would probably be checking its roots.
Originally, I thought that what Claire said might be true, so I was thinking about spraying it with like a fungicidal spray. Obviously, it couldn't do anything about the water affecting the roots because it was basically completely in water or in like a moss and tree fern fiber mix. But I'm actually pretty sure that it was just thrips the whole time. Not as bad as how it was on my Monstera in our last challenge, but I have noticed that when I have like a very mild thrips infestation, it appears as a fungal infection. Even though I couldn't see anything on the plant, I'm gonna blame the thrips. So if I don't win this competition, again, blaming the thrips.
And then this next plant is a Thaumatophyllum sprucianum, and oh my goodness, it is so beautiful. Honestly, looking at the before and after of this plant, it's just perfect. This is probably stating the obvious, but if I had to say something, I would probably just say it doesn't appear to have grown that much.
Okay, in my defense, I was also disappointed in my choice of plant.
And then next up, we've got a Pothos Marble Queen, which is growing in such an unusual way, and I absolutely love it. Obviously, looking at the after photo, what you'll probably notice is that it has lost quite a lot of its variegation. So in order to conserve that, again, if this was my plant, I'd probably be chopping it back a little bit.
Long term, I'm pretty confident that the remaining two that are fairly highly variegated will continue to do what they're doing, and once they both reach the top, it's going to be lovely.
And then the next one here's a begonia. Obviously you're not seeing the before and the after photo in the exact same light, so it's hard to tell. It's kind of hard to tell just how much the colour's been affected by its new growing conditions. But I really love what this person's done.
It looks so much better now. So I wish we had like a little bit more time, because now it looks even way better than that after picture, but you know, it's okay.
And then next up is the Philodendron Ring of Fire. And obviously the person that grew this plant has changed up quite a lot for this plant in the time that they've been growing it. I've heard that it can be quite a slow one to start with. So I would say overall this one is doing very well.
She was a lot kinder than I thought she was going to be. But all in all, not that successful.
And then the next one is the Philodendron Autumn Queen. And immediately straight off the bat, when I saw these two photos next to each other, I was just like, whoa, this one feels like it's a whole other plant. It has come such a long way. The only thing I could comment on is the fact that although it's given lots of new growth, it hasn't necessarily, the foliage hasn't sized up that much. So I would probably, if it was my plant, be giving it a little bit more light.
I bought this plant not knowing too much about it. I didn't do too much research. I just grabbed it because it was the only one there. So I have no idea how much those leaves actually sized up. This plant had a grow light on it. I couldn't give it any more light if I tried.
And then finally, we've got another Pothos Marble Queen. And this is actually really, really interesting because obviously we saw another Pothos Marble Queen earlier in this competition. I think looking at this just goes to show how a different environment and different conditions can affect the way that a plant grows, because, oh my goodness.
Specifically, like my plant room, it's south facing, so it gets a lot of that really intense light here. And I feel like that definitely helped because my plant room's like 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius.
I honestly think everyone should be very proud of their achievements because all of you have grown really lovely plants. However, this is a competition, and in third place, I've chosen to put the Philodendron Glorious, and I just think it's beautiful. And then in second place, this was hard again, but in second place, I put the Philodendron Autumn Queen because, again, there's no signs of damage. I like the way you've displayed it. That looks like a really great moss pole. So yeah, that would be my second place choice.
Well, I'm happy with that silver medal. I'll take a silver any day.
And then if you hadn't guessed, I think for me anyway, there was a clear winner here, and that is the second Pothos Marble Queen that we saw. Never have I ever been able to achieve that scale of growth in a pothos plant, and that's in years. And the fact that you've managed to do this in a matter of months just blows my mind, honestly. Teach me your ways.
Congratulations.
No, thank you. I had so much fun, and yeah, everyone did amazing.
We did have some bonus challenges for 5 points each. we have the largest leaf for 15.5 inches going to Leafy Luster. Congratulations. And
Was my plan all along.
yes, really stretching the definition of what a leaf is.
Well, I did research before I picked a plant and had checked the definition of a leaf and leaflets, especially for this occasion.
Yeah, Christina's playing chess. We're all playing checkers.
Yeah,
here.
I'm trying.
She's technically correct, the best
Yep.
kind of correct. There we are.
Absolutely. And we have, for another 5 points, we have the tallest plant at 5'3", 63 inches, going to Melissa. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Officially a tie for third place, going to myself and Leafy Luster for 5 points. For second place, we have Nora, the Lekka Queen, with 10 points. Congratulations. And first place with a whopping 20 points, going to Melissa. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats! Well deserved.
Yay! Check the description for links to all the videos that my friends created for this friendly competition, and leave a comment with who you'd like to compete with us next time. See ya!